Ladies and gentlemen, may I have your attention to the following
What's going on, everybody? It is the Triple Threat Vet Podcast, and it is Thursday at 7 p.m. We want to make sure that we thank all of our past guests. So we have Master Chief James Sandlin that was on a couple weeks ago. Great stories. We had Country Mike on that was last week. But before we get to Matt and Al, I just want to let you know who the guest is this week. It's James Mccombs, Navy retired Chief Petty Officer, CB, also a veteran business owner. We're going to talk to you about Daddy James barbecue sauce and have another good conversation here with James Mccombs. All right, let's bring in Matt Johnson real quick and see what he's got.
Man, I got no problems. I wish I could sing the song. He made a lot of money doing that, but it's Tuesday. Welcome, everybody. We're glad that you're here. We're here every week, so you should be here every week. Carlos Calzada's in the house. Sup, guys? And he actually said shipmate. Are we in trouble? I don't know. So welcome to everybody that's coming in. Got an exciting guest. We have a guest that we didn't expect to have this week, but I'm excited to talk to him because he does amazing things for veterans, just like all of our guests do. And, remember, we're still selling T-shirts to raise money for nonprofits. So instead of pinching pennies, go spend them dollars. Sameflagsameoath.com. And with that, we'll go ahead and turn it over to the hero. He's actually here today, guys. He still exists.
Hey, I am back. So nothing really just today. I just want to update. My father-in-law is out of the hospital, so the bleeding stopped. So he's back home, so doing well. That's what kept me out last week. I had a bunch of family stuff going on. So you know how it is, man. Shit happens as you get older. Your body just falls apart. Apparently, and he's super fucking old. So yeah, he's knocking on death's door, like knocking on heaven's door for sure. So. But no, nothing big this week to really talk about. Just want to say prayers go out to the state of Texas. I know they've had some flooding and some crazy stuff going on. So definitely want to keep state of Texas in our prayers and make sure that we think about it and we're praying for those families and what's going on out there in Texas. So I know I talk a lot of shit about Texas, but it's like my second home. Like they're second best to Florida. They're all right. They're average at best, but I definitely got to give them some props. So nothing major for me. I'm going to kick it back over to Ty to start the show.
So, Bob, yes, Heroes shirt is online because sameflagsameoath.com is where you can go buy it. So if you saw it online, that's good. But if it's on eBay, we already knew his shirt sucked anyway. So
somebody repurposing my shit already. These motherfuckers only just
hey, bro, it's a hard economy. You gotta do what you gotta do, man.
Don't get scammed out there. The only place you can get him is on Matt's website. Don't be out there buying some old bootleg misspelled ass T-shirts. Dude. I've been there. So
yeah, that'd be crazy though if they bootlegged it. What? That'd be funny. So what's going on with you guys? Yeah, a lot of stuff, a lot of crazy stuff happening, right? Central Texas. I would tell everybody out there before we get jumping into the show, because we're going to talk to a veteran that does great thing for veterans. So I don't want to overshadow what he does and all the amazing things that he's involved in. But for Central Texas, Ty and I live in the Houston area, just the place that we're going on Friday night. Tomorrow, No Label. Al's repping No Label tonight. They are doing a fundraiser for Central Texas. Just go and you can just Google what can I do to help, and you'll find all the different things that they're looking for. Obviously, it's all those necessities, but they're doing a raffle. No Label, a lot of small businesses stepped up and donated a lot of things, so you can win some pretty cool shit out there if you go tomorrow. Who knows? You might get a Becky Joe original reprint limited edition painting that was donated over there. So if you're in the area and you like to drink good beer and you like to hang out and listen to music, No Label's where you should go tomorrow because it's for a good cause. And, other than that, how's everything with y'all?
All's good here, man. Just, it's crazy what went on. I have a little video here just in case anybody wants to.
Devastating floods. You can scan the QR code on your screen right now to support the Kerr County Flood Relief Fund or visit go.fox/TX Flood Relief. We appreciate that.
Yeah, that's the one that was put out on Fox News.
Yeah.
There's a lot of them that are being put out, and I know the So Smoking Good Show had one with the Texas Firewalkers. I know they're going out there to cook for some people, and anything they can do to help. They're raising money as much as they can. But hearts and hopes and prayers go out to all the people. The heart's breaking for everybody out there this evening.
Yeah, man. Well, it's been a couple weeks, Al. We're glad that you're back on, man. I'm glad to hear that your father-in-law is back out hanging out. He's gonna have two more good cold beers.
I thought that motherfucker was dead. I was like, this motherfucker's dead. He ain't gonna make it. Like, it's over. Like, sad singing and flower brain is coming. Like, I was like, oh man, he's bleeding internally. They can't figure out what's going on.
Man.
Like,
Fuck,
he's in a hospital for the day before the 4th. So Wednesday, he went in like on Wednesday for internal bleeding, like his blood was so low. And he's like, I don't know, what is it? O negative, this universal donor. But there's a blood shortage across America. So if you want to help people, go there and donate, because there's a blood shortage. They were giving him O positive, which was, he was having like a small reaction to it. Like, it was crazy. They gave him 16 bags of blood.
Damn.
To get his blood whatever up. But then all of a sudden, I guess the internal bleeding just stopped on its own. Like, it just up and fucking stopped. So we went and got him out on Wednesday. But I was like, damn, this motherfucker's dead. I wonder what kind of cool shit he has I can get a hold of. I wonder what he's gonna if he left me anything in his will.
There you go, man.
Shit was crazy, bro. I'm
glad to know he's doing all right, though.
Yeah, definitely.
We were supposed to be solo today, but it was really refreshing. We shouted out our guest last week, man. We were able to connect with him. He's able to come on, and it's going to be a good story. He's got a lot of stuff going. I'm excited to talk to him. And y'all, he's a CB.
Hey, so. Josh Vincent's on. Yeah. Vinny with the Henny. What's up, Josh?
So I would say, Ty, why don't you, if you don't mind, let's do an introduction real quick, and we can bring him on and we jump right in.
Oh, okay. Well, I didn't write down the whole introduction. I thought you had it. My bad.
I could give you an introduction.
Go ahead. I've got one right
here. So,
go ahead. I've got it on the phone.
Yeah, I got it. So our guest today is a veteran of the military and veteran of service for a long time. James Mccombs was in the Navy, total of about 33 years. He did time in the Navy, did time in the Army. He did time as a government service employee. So he's been serving his country and those that serve the country for a long time. Retired as a CB. He's a chief. So 3 chiefs and an Army guy. What could go wrong? And now he's a veteran-owned business. He runs a barbecue business. He has his own sauce, and apparently it's fucking good, because everybody that I've seen after we've discovered him has talked about it. But I'm super excited to talk with him about his community involvement and how he gives back, and he uses that sauce that he's created that he's so proud of to give back to veterans. So I would just say, without further ado, let's welcome to the stage Mr. James Mccombs. Dang, he turned his camera off and said, fuck that.
I have to log in and log back in, James.
I'm out.
The screen's just off. Did you get a call?
Unless you're in witness protection, then you'd be good to go.
Well, well, I won't say the color of my skin. I just got to turn on the lights. All right. Let me go out and come back in.
Yeah. See, CBs. You don't get that from non-CBs, dude. That's so funny. But yeah, he's done a lot. I think what was most hilarious is before the show in the green room, I was talking to him, and normally we get a bio, but this one was pretty quick for us. And I was like talking to him, and he had said about service in the Army, and Ty, he was like, I don't think I told Ty that. I said, Ty already knows. He's like, what? I said, what is I don't know. We looked you up, and I said, "Did you do this? Did you do this? Did you?" He was like, "What the fuck?" I'm like, "Yeah, dude. Like we already know."
The one that intrigued me was he retired as a GS-13 as a program analyst at NAVFAC Expeditionary Directorate, Washington Navy Yard. So to me, that I don't know what NAVFAC is, naval facility, I guess.
Yeah, facilities.
Cool thing. And directorate means that like it's kind of like seems like they work on some shit that they're going to be expeditionary, like how to fight the war kind of stuff.
Yeah, pretty much. He was in charge of shit. That's what it.
There you go. You're back.
Turn the lights on. Good job.
There we go.
All right, there you go. All right.
There you go.
There we go.
James,
Here we
welcome
go.
to the show.
Good evening, everybody. Good evening.
I'm glad you were able to jump in.
Having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, I'm glad you're able to jump in and join us on short notice, man. So
yeah,
James,
no, absolutely. I wouldn't miss this for the world.
We got one of those things called a delay.
He said he's having bad weather there, so that's probably what's causing it.
Yeah. We'll be able to work through it. It's all good. So what we like to do, James, when we bring everybody on, we like to give you an opportunity to kind of give us your story, tell us about who you are. Just in a little bit, we were talking prior to starting. It's going to be very interesting. So if you don't mind, whenever we catch up to each other, could you give us a little bit of information on where you grew up, what it was like for you growing up as a kid, what were you into, and then kind of leading up into your decision to join the Navy?
Check. Okay. Well, born in Kansas City, Missouri, so that's where the barbecue sauce is coming from. So I was raised by my grandparents. My mother asked my dad's parents to raise me because she just couldn't afford it. With that, my grandparents raised me. Went to 2 different churches. I went to a Presbyterian and a Catholic church. From there, once I became of age, my grandfather was like, when you graduate high school, you got to leave. And I was like, you got to be kidding me. I'm only going to be 17 years old. With that, I thought I'd outsmart him and went to a Navy recruiter and asked the recruiter, hey, can I sign up? He was like, well, you're going to have to get signatures from your guardians. And I was like, they ain't going to sign the paperwork. So I took the paperwork home. Lo and behold, they signed it. Week after graduation, I was gone. I was in the Navy. And and I just thought it sounds like, so that trick didn't work, right? So after that, that's all she wrote. I did 13 years. I did 2 tours on the Midway, 1 tour on the Independence. I pushed boots. I was in Key West, Florida. The crazy thing about pushing boots, I was able to sneak in a rap group in one of in the companies I was pushing, right?
Man.
So and that kind of turned my direction and what I wanted. Yeah, it was crazy. So and I got asked to come out to LA to do some work, and I got out the Navy. What was I thinking? Right, 13 years, had no blemish marks, right? Had made first class twice. We won't get into that. But
we should totally
2 tours on the Midway, 1 tour on Independence. Yeah.
Yeah, we should totally get into that.
Right?
That 100% would be an amazing story, because anybody that's made first class twice, the reason you lost it and then how you got it back, it's epic. But let's back up just a little bit. So growing up with your grandparents, living in Kansas City, what kind of things did you growing up? What were you interested in? What were the hobbies you had? Was there anything that like you gravitated more to than other things? And you know, what made it go, you got to get out when you graduate versus, you know, going to college or going another route?
Am I on?
Yeah, you're good.
Okay, good. Okay. Well, the biggest thing was raised by grandparents. They don't let you do anything, right? At least your grandma doesn't. So going through school, grade school and high school, I played grade school basketball, scored 2 points my whole in 3 years. I was the shortest kid on the team. I was the shortest guy in my class. So when I went to high school, kind of ran track. It wasn't a big thing for me. My biggest thing was just being part of. Was in the band, was in chorus. Again, my grandmother was very protective of me, so I didn't get to really play sports that much. But back then, it wasn't really about hobbies. Well, the hobby was building models. But you got to remember, in Kansas City, there's not a lot of body of water except for lakes. So I end up um, going in the Navy, not knowing how to swim. And I looked at my papers. I was a fourth class swimmer.
They got you.
Hey, look, the recruiter said, "You know how to swim?
Who
It's all right.
does
They're gonna
this,
teach you when you
right?
get there. It's
So
easy."
I go in as a fourth class swimmer. Yeah. So boot camp, I jump in the water. I go straight to the bottom, right? As long as you come up, you're good.
Damn.
So, yeah. So 29 years later, right? Never learned didn't learn how to swim. But it was very, very interesting, growing up with grandparents. I had to go to my mother's church, and I had to go to my dad's parents' church, right? So that was a Catholic and Presbyterian. They're kind of similar. So there wasn't too much pull with that, right? I had 7 uncles and aunts on my mom's side, and I had my dad's sister on the other side, and they all raised me, right? They all had their ways of making sure that I was okay. My mom was the oldest, my dad was younger, so they always made sure that I was taken care of. But didn't know by the time I was 11, my parents were going to die, right? So that helped my grandparents. Not saying that I wish that upon my parents, but by having that Social Security money, that helped my parents help raise me, buying me clothes, buying me things for Christmas, right? Because grandparents back then, they were pretty much retired. They were done. My grandmother did hair. My grandfather was the greatest at being a handyman, and they made sure they took care of me, right? I told one story up in that fact, and a lot of people got it, was that my grandmother used the Bible as her policy in writing policy, right? Because there's no book on raising kids, especially when you're grandparents. And then my grandfather used the streets because that's what he knew. And they just came together and made it work. And that's what got me where I am today. Pretty much determination, wanting to strive, and knowing that I could not go back, right? You can't go back, right? They've gotten to take care of you, and then you're gone. Now, my grandfather died a year after I came in the Navy, which really just threw me for a loop. And then my grandmother, she was always there. And when I come home, I was young though. I'd go back, hang out, and try to see my buddies. But I will say that direction my grandfather gave me, I thank him so much for that. Because if not, I don't know where I'd be today. Had buddies getting killed, right? Being shot accidentally because one of his boys got in a dispute, right? And guy came back and shot him in the head. And he was my running. That's who I went to school with, right? We were best of friends. And it was really a blessing for me.
So do you think that the decision when you were younger,
going into
living with
military
grandparents
period.
was more to
you go through things in life,
Yeah, I was going to say, do you think that the decision that your grandfather gave you,
it was,
you got to do something, you got to go, you got to join, you got to get out, you got to do something when you turn 18? Do you think that was to help you get out of the situation you could be in one day, or do you think that was more just the times back then? If your grandfather raised you, he was probably raised on, when you're 18, you got to do something. You're an adult. You got to go to work, but you can't live here. Things like that, because they worked for everything. So do you think that it was a mixture of both, or do you think it was more to get you on a new path?
Get me to understand that I have to be a man, right? I did work since I was 14 years old, but he just wanted me to be able to take care. He wanted me to take care of myself. And I think that's what was driving that, because they had done all they could do with me. Once you get to be a certain age, especially as grandparents, they're like, okay, you're on your own now. We've gotten you this far. Now you got to take care of yourself. And I think that was his message to me, so that I wasn't going to be a burden to them anymore. Because I was a burden. Sure, they love me, but you're still a burden, because they had to take care of their responsible for you, and being whatever. And I wasn't much of a party because my grandmother didn't let me go out. So it was, so there's the whole thing of, okay, now's your time. So, and there's things you have to learn once you get out of the house that grandparents don't teach you. So, so that was definitely an experience in itself. Yeah.
So what was it like for you leaving that environment, growing up with your grandparents, and then going into the Navy and getting to boot camp? What was that like for you?
Oh my gosh. So my first duty station was New Jersey after boot camp. So that was wide open because it was in the 80s. And again, you're in New Jersey, you're going to New York to party. And, but for me, I had guardians. What I didn't know was I had met a family in New Jersey, and their mother, there's 10 total kids. And 6 of them, their mother had talked to my grandmother, and she made a promise to my grandmother that she would look after me, because I was only 17 years old when I was stationed in Jersey. And then she died a year after my grandmother did, in 88. And I still have my brothers and sisters to this day. There's 10 of them total, and they're like my brothers and sisters, because I grew up my only child. But then going in the Navy, you build this family that takes care of you, teaches you kind of what's out there in the streets, what to do, what not to do, who's passed across, who not to cross. And being in the Navy, you're prime meat, right? Because you have a job. A lot of guys out there didn't have jobs. So it was kind of me understand that I had guardians the whole time. So it was definitely an adventure for me. Met DJs up in New York, and met people down in Jersey. I was down in Asbury Park. I was over in Neptune, New Jersey. I was in Lakewood, New Jersey. All these places where in the Midwest you never even hear of these places, right? But that was the life of. It was a life. It was definitely a different life.
Yeah, I'm
the
still
lifestyles
shocked.
were different, definitely different.
But you were stationed in New Jersey. I didn't know the Navy had a ship in New Jersey.
Mm-hmm.
And you were ABE, right? So you did aviation. So what kind of work were you doing in New Jersey up there? Like, what did they have in the 80s up there?
Oh, I was a launch and recovery. I was an ABE.
Is that the green shirts?
I went to school there, and then my Chief Mitchell, I never forget. Yeah, the green shirts. Yeah. So my chief was like,
Look at Ty knowing some shit I don't know.
McCombs, if you do not get above a 68, you're going to stay here in New Jersey. You're not going to go to the fleet. Man, that was the best thing that happened to me. That was the best thing that happened to me.
That's crazy.
I ended up leaving there third class, went to the ship, didn't have to go to the mess decks, right? I had the best life. So, and I had learned to quit while I was there because it was at a test facility. So I was like, thanks, Chief Mitchell. You did me good, right?
Yeah, right.
I can laugh about it now.
You did good.
But he just thought I was just going to be so miserable in New Jersey. Yeah. So again,
after you left New Jersey,
you look back
your
on
first
the
ship
past,
was the Midway?
Back on it now, just like it was a blessing for me. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I left New Jersey. I went to Japan. Did 3 years on the catapults, and I went to catapults and did well. You know, I ended up leaving there as a second, went to Key West, made first class. Going to Key West was worked. What did I do? Oh, I was with the air terminal there, and then got in a little trouble. I was falling behind. What do you do with women, right? And so by the time I was getting ready to go, I got pulled early to go to the Independence because of my quals, and got in a little bit of trouble.
You can't just say I got into a bit of trouble and not tell the story.
Elaborate on that shit. We need to know.
Yep, doing
What did you?
Well, restriction time and grinding floors for. My God. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, so I did a little bit of partying in Jersey. Yeah, my girlfriend was pretty cute, right? And pretty cute, nice figure, and a green eye. Instead of the rule of waiting 3 days, I waited 2 days, right? It was always the rule, right? You're supposed to wait 3 days before you take the test, and I waited 2 days. So yeah, and the CEO was like, "Okay, James Mccombs, you have a clean record. You get a choice. Either you can get out or stay in." And I chose to stay in. And then I called a buddy of mine that was a detailer. Since by the time I went to the ship, got busted. I was like, the rule was whatever ship you get busted on, you're not gonna get promoted on, right? So I called a buddy. It was a detailer. I said, "Bro, I gotta get out of here." I did my 2 years. The Midway was a priority tour, and he sent me back to the Midway. And I made first class again. Then I end up
yeah. So I think what we're gonna do real quick,
and then I got
we're gonna do real quick is we're gonna take a quick break, and I think I know you have a delay on your end. I think for the weather. So when we take the break and do the commercial, maybe try to jump in on your cell phone. That might work a little bit better, so that there's not a delay for you, so that we're good. But so Ty, if you want to take us out to a break real quick, we'll be back in 90 seconds.
My brother Paul went one way and I went the other, and now he's famous. I want to be famous too, so I'm riding around telling everyone about Earl.net. Go take the quiz! Go take the quiz! After we win this, I found this place called Louisiana or Louisiana. I can't tell which it is, but I'm gonna buy it with my VA loan.
Get your head in the game!
No money down, man. Okay, hear me out. My brother George is out there trying to win the revolution, but I told him, how are we gonna pay for all this, man?
Earl, quit talking and fund the fight!
I'm working on it, George. Hey guys, I know how to fund the war. Get on AOL and go to Earl.net. We might be able to refinance our houses to pay for the army. Go take the quiz. Look, Tommy's already done.
Wow. It only took 30 seconds. I can refinance Monticello.
Earl was right. It's incredible what you can do with the VA loan. You earned it, so you should take advantage of it. Take the quiz at Earl.net and see if it makes sense for you.
On average, we lose 22 veterans to suicide every single day. These heroes who once fought for our freedom now battle invisible wounds. Mission 22 is dedicated to healing our veterans and providing them the support they need. As a leader in our community, we stand with Mission 22 as we believe in giving back to those who have given up so much for us. It's our way of saying thank you for your service. For more information, visit mission22.com.
I think
It's my favorite song, bro. You turned it off right in the middle of the THC song. That shit was good. So for everybody that's out there right now, we took a break a little bit earlier than we normally do because we want to make sure that we have the ability to talk with our man James here and hear more of the story. So if we go back on something that you think you already heard, you can go ahead and comment on it. We know we're repeating ourselves, but we are all getting older, so that might be part of that. But we just wanted to make sure that we give the best experience for him and everybody out there that's listening. So just to clarify.
All right, let's see if we got him back now.
What the hell is EA? That would be each, Brett. Like, you do materials, right? Like each, EA, each? Or is he thinking EA like engineering aid? That's a smart ass dude. That's what that is.
Y'all got me?
Yeah. We can hear you. Can you hear us?
You got me?
Yeah, we got you.
I can hear you.
Okay, all right. Can you see me?
I can see you. Oh, I think I think the weather just wants you to be delayed, man. That's crazy.
Yeah. What?
Oh
no. I'm here.
All right, we got you now. Can you hear us?
Yes. Loud. Yep. Leave me, Charlie.
All right. Good. All right. So, going back a little bit back. So we talked about coming up, going into the Navy. So just to recap for everybody, joined the Navy, went to New Jersey, found out that New Jersey's fucking wild. So it was a great time. And then from what and I'm just paraphrasing, I remember your instructor held you back thinking you was gonna like make life difficult for you, but it was better. Went to the Midway, and then we got into we were right into the story about being in Key West. It's all about a girl making second class the second time. So I think we need to start over there. And I want, like, Al is a details man. He likes all the details, right? So let's go into that story. Like, you're in Key West, so obviously nothing good can happen in Key West, right? It's paradise. Oh, no.
Yeah.
So let's work through like what happened there, and then
what the fuck did you do? That's what I don't even. I don't want to know. I know you had a girlfriend, but what did you punch her in the face? Did she sneaker in your bedroom? You hide her under the mattress? What happened?
I went back up to New Jersey and partied with them. So up there, the partying was kind of heavy, the alcohol and the paraphernalia that goes along with it, right?
You snort a little booger sugar. You use a little booger sugar.
It's the 80s, bro.
You go.
It's 80s. You got into some of that white girl. We know what you did.
You said it, but I guess I just got to confirm it.
Hey, look, you said it, but he did it. So
yeah, back in the 80s, right? I didn't know no better. Well, I knew better, but I did the 2-day trip rather than a 3-day trip, right? And they got me. And you learn from it, right? And I left and went back to Japan, left her behind.
There you go. So I did, and we had a delay going on a little bit earlier, but I did want to let you know that your guy, Navy Mark, is in the building. He's been communicating with us back and forth, and he's said a lot of good things, man, that you were very instrumental in his time on the Midway, best place that he's been.
Yeah.
And had a good time there. So I just wanted to let you know that one of your guys in here.
Yeah, no, that's my baby. Oh yeah, I love him to death. He's my man. Yeah. So when you have the guys in there that you loved and you just work with, they help you, and I think that was one of the great things about my military career, right? Is you find people that are true to who they are, right? And they don't care who you are. And it's all about being successful, being good at what you do. Right. And I think that's my biggest thing, understanding your strengths and your weaknesses, and always understand there's somebody better than you. It's you finding them and them helping you and you helping them. And I think that's a big instrument on how I succeeded in life. Right. Period. You're going to have your ups and downs. But going back, Mark was definitely. He's my man, even though he's a little bit taller than me. He was definitely he's definitely my guy. So yeah. So he was Mark, what's up, dude? I'm glad you're on today. So he's definitely he's my man. So yeah, we had some good times together.
So when it comes, so you went from Key West there, right? And when you were in Key West, were you still on the Midway, or did you go somewhere new? Because I think I missed that in there. Still the Midway.
No, I was in Key West. I was stationed in Key West. I was there for 2 years. Yeah, at Boca Chica, and then left and went up to Philly to join the Independent.
Okay.
Yeah, and then from the Independence, we took right around the Horn, came down to Norfolk, took around the Horn, went to San Diego, and that's where I hopped off and went back to the Midway.
Okay, gotcha. And so we were talking in the beginning during Desert Storm. You were in the Gulf on a ship, right?
Yeah, I was on the Midway.
So what was that conversation like when they're like, "Hey guys, we're getting underway and we're going into the Middle East"?
Yeah.
Or
this
were you already underway and they said, "Oh, you guys thought we were going home next week. We're extended."
No, absolutely. Yeah. Yep. And we were there, the Midway, and they flew me out back from my flew back from my grandmother's funeral. First, I flew home to get her out of the hospital, and I took her home, put her on the couch. I laid on the floor with her. Then I had to leave and come back to the ship. I went back for her funeral and came back. And so I was there. As a matter of fact, I came back the day of the first launch on the Midway. And I watched the first planes go off as we were coming to.
Damn.
Awesome again.
Bro, he got that
weather,
he
bro.
pays for that Al Hero internet, dude. You know what I mean?
First of all, I'm still in my neighbor's internet while y'all bullshit. Let's drop him down. Maybe he'll come back.
Yeah.
Am I there?
Yeah,
I'm back.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
all right.
You got there when the first bombs went off.
Yeah. When first launches. Yeah. So I was there. And then we came back. No, then we went to come back. Then we had to take the Midway back stateside. Just a coincidence. One of the restaurants that I go to every once in a while, there was a gentleman there that he was actually there in the Philippines when they had the volcano, because we had to go in and actually evacuate personnel from the Air Force in the Philippines. And so we actually talked about that. And it was definitely awesome to meet somebody that we had actually taken and evacuated out and taken them to a safe island for them to be able to fly back stateside. So that's been pretty cool. So it's always coincidence. The world is so small. And so, from there, I went back stateside and that's where I pushed boots.
So you went from the Midway to being
Great Lakes. Yeah. Yep.
Ooh-wee.
Yeah. And then
what year were you in RDC?
91, 92.
Okay, I wasn't in the Navy yet. I was like, damn, he might have been the guy yelling at me and shit across the line. Get your shit right. Oh, but wait, where did you push boots though?
Great Lakes.
Okay, thank goodness. If you would have said Orlando, we would have hung up on you right now.
Dude, no way.
I want to fast forward because you end up in the Seabees eventually, and you made chief and all that. Like, let's fast forward.
But we got to get to the point where he made
that Navy shit, them ships and all that.
Yeah, but he made a
Navy
mistake before that, Al.
Huh?
He made a mistake before becoming a B, though.
He joined the Army. He went in the reserves.
Dude.
As long as you weren't a gate guard like Bob Mayer. Bob Mayer likes to be like, I was part of the fighting 101st Airborne Military Police Unit. Fucking gate guard. That's what the fuck was.
Oh my gosh. Coming from a damn CM. Nope. Hey, so I got out because I did a good deed for somebody that was in the music industry and helped them sell some records for the rap group. And then I decided that I wanted to chase that endeavor. And I went out there and I was like, nope, not me. And I left. And then, but in that time, I went back to Kansas City for a minute. It just wasn't my cup of tea. I worked a couple of jobs, and back then it wasn't really easy for veterans to get jobs. And so I ended up moving to Atlanta. And then from there, because I went to the National Guard. No, I was in the Army Reserve in Kansas City, combat engineers. And then I left chased the skirt again, and then I came back and moved to Atlanta, and that's when I became a CB. That was in
Did you and you were in the reserves when you became a B, right? So
yes, I went in Navy Reserve.
Like from Army Reserve to Navy Reserve.
Correct. Yes. Yeah. Yep. And so that wasn't easy, but I had my recruiter was pretty good about what he did. So
all the Navy recruiters they're the shit, dude.
Yeah, bro. Well, he wasn't that good. I was made second class again.
His ass was in Atlanta then.
Yeah, he was. What year did you join the Bees?
Yeah, 2000.
Oh no, I joined in 2000. I was
our hero still in boot camp, bro.
Me and him,
oh my gosh!
We might have been at MEPS together, James. We might have been getting our buttholes.
Yeah, you guys are probably.
We might have been duck walking together, bro.
Yeah. Yeah, no, not that time. I was like, I ain't doing that crap again. Nope, ain't doing it.
How long did you do in the Army Reserves before you switched over?
4.
And is there any reason you decided to go from the Army Reserves back to the Navy?
Because I just wasn't comfortable, right? I had learned, plus I wasn't really doing anything. I mean, at that time, we really wasn't doing anything. It was all stagnant, right? There wasn't that much training going on. You learn how to go blow up stuff, and that was it. And I wanted more. And I knew the Navy, and I just reached back out to see if I could go back in. And they said, yeah. I didn't think I was going to be a CB.
Yeah. I mean, you was blowing shit up, and that's pretty fucking cool. I'll take it.
Hey,
look when I became a UT, bro.
So he had to go fix what people was blowing up after that. You know what I mean? Like,
well, it helped me on my convoys because I knew where the freaking mine was.
Yeah, there you go. So you went into the CBs, and then I know me talked before the program. You ended up doing some combat. You ended up going. So not many people know about it except for probably me and you. Well, Matt and Ty do now because I've told them. But you were part of the TMT teams that the CBs created. Their own like little special operations units. They had CERT teams and TMT. Sure. I was a part of both, and I know you said you were a part of the team. Stands for Tactical Movement Teams, which is essentially like advanced convoy security units or QRF type teams. So so I know you did that, and you were in Iraq. You said in 2005. 2005,
and then I went back in 0607. When I went back 0607, I was part of the personal security team in Embark with the regiment.
Embark. You might have crossed some paths with Ty. I think Ty was there around that time, weren't you, Ty?
Yeah, I was there 0709.
Okay, 07. Yeah. So we was in. We went all over the place. When matter of fact, I actually escorted the Navy Times reporters in 06 when they was writing the stories on the CBs.
Nice.
Yeah, and that was like 3 months. Yeah, we went everywhere.
Okay, here we go. So this is going to be good. So I got questions.
Yeah.
So you took JOs and PHs all over Iraq, right? How many times did you have to tell a JO or a PH? I don't think that's a good idea because they had to get that shot. You know, they got to take that picture.
Well, these were actually Navy Times reporters. They were actual reporters, right? So they wanted to be in the thick of things. But they were very good. They listened. My biggest thing was I wanted them to write good news stories.
Yeah.
Let's make sure we don't want to put anything bad out there for our CBs, right? Yeah. And so we kind of got that right. They snuck one in on me, but it's all good. It didn't get too much. Hopefully it didn't get too much traction. But the big thing was, in country, we always hear the bad things that go on, right? Well, what about the good things? What about the guys that are out there? What are they doing? What is their job? What's their mission? And are they completing this mission, right? And then are they coming home safe? So, and we was out there for a while. We traveled a lot, going into different provinces, met up with the Marines and patrolled with them and just did different things that you just don't do, as a CB all the time. So it was a little bit different for me.
That's awesome.
So, yeah.
And so, what year did you make chief?
07. After, yeah, 07. Yep. Yeah,
Bro.
yeah. There you go. Yep. And then I got.
Not to be funny, I made it a year before you did.
Oh, did you? Oh my gosh. Al?
Well, I made it like 5 years after both of you.
Yeah.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
2010, 11 time frame.
Yeah. So let's bring Ty. Sorry, but yeah, there's some.
When did you make 7, Ty?
2009.
Nice.
So me and Ty kind of run the same time. And then I made senior chief in 16. So
I made it in 17.
yeah, you made 2 years before me.
Yeah, I made it in 13. I made senior in 13. Yeah.
Matt made senior.
No, before that, because Winning CD was still in play. Yeah, Winning CD was still. Yeah.
So where did you go through your season?
Oh my gosh, in Huntsville, Alabama, in the red mud, bro. Oh,
you never knew people had so many interesting ways to do things, did you?
Nope.
Yeah, man. Oh my gosh.
I hate red mud to this day.
Oh.
That's all I'll say about that.
No, yeah. So when you went through, did you only go through reservists, or did you guys go through some active duty guys as well? Because in those areas, what we found, Al and I, in reserve duty, we would a lot of times pair up with reserve units and do like a joint deal so that everybody, so you had a bigger group, right? Because sometimes this command that's a reserve command, they made one person.
Yeah, bro.
Like,
when I pinned it on, I had to wait until Saturday. So like the rest of the Navy pinned it on Friday, and I had to wait till Saturday because the guys I was with, there was 4 of us active duty.
Yeah,
we went through with 181 reservists from the state of Ohio, Virginia.
Yep.
I remember doing the PRC and
reason why I'm laughing is because we had one active duty guy with us, right?
So I used to get pissed with the reservists because with the reservists, we had one of the reservists. They were like I don't even know what the fleet reservists were, but this motherfucker shows up and he's like barking out orders. Like it's the final night. He's like, I'm gonna need the NMCB guys and the reserve, like us, like talking to us. Like I need y'all. I said, first of all, motherfucker, let me tell you something. I've been doing this shit every day for 6 weeks. You do this shit on the weekends. I'm like, let me tell you, one more time to tell me my people to do some shit, I'm gonna knock your motherfucking ass out, you weekend warrior ass. He was like, calm down, just calm the fuck down. I'm like, oh, bro, I've been doing this shit every day for 6 weeks. You gonna come here and bark orders on your drill weekend? You better get the phone home somewhere. Not today.
Hey, look, that dude. That dude came in and he got gaslit by his sponsor. He said, "You better anybody get on. You better take charge." Like, bro,
got cuffed out. I was done playing.
Man, you smell good, dude. You've been taking showers every day. This is crazy. I've been driving all over Ohio, right?
Nah.
All y'all's vessels. I done did all the vessels too because y'all weren't around. Not today.
They got you good, bro. They got you. We had to do our own. Yeah, we have one active duty guy with us.
But you guys were Seabees, so you were like, "You want me to build a box?"
That was easy.
Whatever.
Hey, I guess I got yelled at because I only knew one cadence, right? And I'll never forget my chief. Oh my gosh, he was so mad at me. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna sing this 1 week and then I'm done. Yeah. And then he was like, "You mother!" He called me everything out my name, right? And I was like, "Bro, hey, that's the only one I want to sing. I'm good."
Yeah, I tell you what though, when you would go through, so when I went through, I was kind of like, Al, we did pin on the 15th, or the 16th of September, but there was like active duty and reserve included. I think there was like 43 total, right?
Yeah.
And every time we would go do training, I figured out as a first-year chief why the reserve base loved doing the season with the active duty guys, because there was always one reserve selectee that decided they were going to go to training today because they had an extra lunch break. And as soon as that dude walked in the building, they went, "Greatest day of our life. This is going to be awesome. Hey, selectee whoever, what's this?" And everybody was like, "Fuck," right? Because they knew they didn't know the answer. We're like, "We're done."
That's right.
Dude.
That's right.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
And then when you're on the other side, you're like, you guys are a bunch of assholes. And they're just laughing at you like, what do you mean? Like, what, dude? We walked in here thinking like the world was ending. And now I know that like, but 5 minutes before you guys are like, these bitches are going to come in and say this. I was like, how did you guys know that? I'm like,
hey, Matt, hold on. Bob is, I got under his skin. Bob, you're right. I did fire a shot. So we can show the picture and see what your take on this is, James. Look at that shit. That is
whoa. No, that was not a real picture.
That's a real picture, bro.
That is not.
I promise. That's real.
That
was on the Command Facebook page.
There's no way they put that on there.
They did. That's the nukes. Those are nukes. That's the Navy's nuclear command.
That is how they can't even fit in a freaking hatch. How is that the damn nukes?
Hey, bro.
I'm just
top side, homie. They ain't getting in no damn hatch. They good.
If you look at the center picture, there's 2, maybe 3 guys who look good in their uniform.
The middle 3 are good to go.
Yeah, and you got the bookends, bro. They holding up the bookends.
Hey, but look, the dude right next to the female mass sheet, that dude is mad as fuck. You can just tell in his face. He's like, what the fuck is going on? Yeah.
No, that's no way. That's real. No way.
It's real.
No.
That's the Navy now, bro. That's where we're at.
That's real.
That's where we're at.
It's called. I don't even want to tell you what it's called.
After I weighed over 200 pounds, I just felt like I was done. I'm done.
Yeah.
No.
That's real.
And they let him put on khakis. So
she was pinning on Master Chief.
She's a Master Chief.
She pinned on 9, bro.
Got it.
CMC, bro.
That's somebody CMC.
She's gonna go write somebody up for failing the PFA. Let's do it. Hey, but look, it is what it is, right?
I get it. Yeah.
Okay, so you made chief, you made senior chief, you were in the CBs. So then you obviously retired, right? Did you retire?
I did. I retired in 2016 at Little Creek. Yeah.
Okay, so retired and then moved into your
contract
GS world, right?
I moved into contract world. Yeah, worked in contract for a minute in Expeditionary Forces, integrating vehicles, comms, and all the good stuff for vehicles. And then I moved into the GS world as a configuration manager, supporting the units with parts for equipment. And then after that,
how long were you in that world?
I did that for 2 years. And then the 3rd year, I was asked to go to DC.
Okay.
And then I worked up in that back. Yeah.
You just said a whole bunch of stuff that I just want. Ty, do you have any questions? Everything you just said is right up your alley, dude. Comms, retrofitting vehicles, making shit bomb. Like I'm like, all right, I'm backing up. What you got?
So
all he said was nerd.
Analyst position, like when you're doing all that stuff, like what are you doing on a daily basis? Like what kind of cool shit are you dealing with?
Well, so let's start back when while I was at NECC, I went from NECC to NCC. I was working as a contractor because I was a reservist, but I did well, right? I worked as a contractor, and I was brought in to actually work with configuration on vehicles. So that doing integration for comms so that vehicles could talk to each other, and working with the N6s and making sure that we had the right count, had the right inventory, all the vehicles that need to be configured were being configured, was being outfitted. And then even before that, though, I was with maintenance. I was a 3MC. So I was on the reserve side, but also supported active duty. I had helped integrate the 3M program to the reserve side. Matter of fact, Expeditionary Forces is really pretty much the only reserve force that is qualified in 3M, right? We did that. And it was cool, right? I came from it in the fleet, and there's a lot of good guys out there that was able to convert and work within the maintenance and understand that to complete a mission, you have to do maintenance, right? On weapons, on vehicles. And a lot of people fought us on it, but not under, because they had their own system, and we get it. But then Big Navy comes in and says, you want money, then you have to work within our parameters, right? And the only way to do that was understanding how Big Navy worked and funding and supporting that. So you had to show them the money you were spending. The only way to do that was through the maintenance system, through EM maintenance system. And so from there, one thing I did was I used to go over, especially overseas, and assess and see how units were doing in maintenance. And I had a master chief tell me once, he says, Mac, we need support, we need help. And I says, okay, what you need? I says, we need manpower. So I went back and talked to my bosses, and they let us stand up teams to actually go over and support active duty guys. And these are reservists who needed to do their 2 weeks, and they were at the commands, and they just couldn't find a way to do it. And so we would send them over to support active duty guys, and they loved it. And then you know how it gets. Somebody in their infinite wisdom, they think they want to do something different. And I got brought into the office. It's like, senior, we can't do this no more. And I was like, well, we're helping the force. They're like, well, there's something else. There's something took priority. And I was like, okay, fine. And that's when I saw the writing on the wall for me that it was time for me to go, because it was about them and not about the troops and not about what needs to be done out in the fleet to support maintenance and support completing the mission.
And what year was that?
That was in 2015.
2015. That's when I retired. 2015.
Yeah. Because reserve didn't have a problem.
I don't even remember when I retired. For fuck's sake.
But there's, but the thing of it is there, and a lot of active duty had heartburn with reservists, and I get it because I saw both sides of it. But the thing of it was, we had come up with a plan where we would rotate one on top of the other so that you had somebody that was there that was working. The new guys come in, they check in, and by the time that next week, the other guys would rotate out. So you always had bodies in place to support the maintenance effort. And then there was a thing where they wanted to start doing surveys. And I was like, okay, so surveys is going to take over supporting the mission and having these guys complete maintenance. And that's when I just was like, okay, got it. So, and you can only do so much as a senior chief, right?
I remember in the Bs though, when I first got into the Bs, the one thing that I remembered about reservists, which I think was a little unique. Now, granted, this wasn't, downrange and you're not there, but I used to remember when the reservists would come over, like I would talk to some of them, and these guys would be from like Indiana or, Missouri, or they'd be from wherever. Yeah. And there was one time where we would talk to the CB reservists, and these guys are like, a little bit, they're like, I don't want to be here. And we're like, what? Like, this is awesome. We're in Japan or wherever we're at, right? We're hanging out. These guys are like, you know how much money I'm losing?
I'm losing. That's right. Yeah.
Because they were like, one of the guys I talked to, he was he laid tile for the Indiana Pacers arena. He's like, you know how much work I'm missing right now? Because I have to do this. We were like, what? Like, what do you mean? He's like, I do all this shit you guys pretend to do in the CBs, right? Because we pretend to build, but we really fight a lot. I do that shit professionally, and I'm losing money doing it. Or they were building houses and all these things. And after I had that conversation, I used to be like, man, what could, like, if we could not be infects when they came here and we were on a job site, like how much could you learn?
How much could they
do? Oh my God. Because they were doing it every day. That was the great thing. And that was one thing I'd say about the reservists, right? In that program, because guys were being recruited that was doing this full time every day, that were managers, was very high. Not just a body out there working. These guys ran jobs. They ran jobs for the state, for the city, their own construction companies. And when they come in, they would teach active duty guys what they needed to know. Because when you're active duty, you learn the basics, and then it's about experience. Well, these guys already had the experience, right, coming in. And so that stopped when OIF started, because they wanted to start recruiting bodies. And so because remember before, as a reserve, you had to be 26 years old, and you had to have knowledge of the rate that you were in. So, and then they stopped that. And so now, it's hopefully they'll get back to that, because we lost a lot of talent once they went away from that.
But I think the reason they got away from that a little bit is because they would take guys that were carpenters or master tilers or master electricians, master plumbers. These guys did it on the outside. And there was part of that where you would see active duty guys would look at a guy that's a reservist. Like we fucked around during Chief season. We make fun of him because my least favorite comment from like a reserve guy that was going through the season was like, am I going to get paid to go to PT? I'm like, get the fuck out of here, dude. I'm not getting paid to go to PT. But
you're getting paid your own freaking orders. Shut the fuck up.
Yeah, they wouldn't do, but when they were on orders and they would go out there were times where it was hilarious. You would see like a first class that had been in the Navy 4 years, and he's been to A school, and he probably did 2 projects. Yeah. Talking to some dude that's been a carpenter for 15 years. You don't know what you're doing. The guy's like, all right, man, I'm going to go hang in you want me to sweep the floor? I got it. 2 weeks.
But
meanwhile, this dude could teach him how to finish carpentry. Like I see where we miss so many opportunities to learn how to do that. Sure. Now this is CB stuff because it's all construction, but there was a lot of missed opportunities out of that experience, man.
Yeah. No, absolutely. I mean, and I didn't even talk about my corporate side that I worked, right? Being a civilian, as a reservist, I worked for a corporation, and it was a big corporation, right? And I learned so much, and that's why I got into the business of barbecue sauce, because I watched how this corporation worked, right? And how they did business over the years and how they grew. And it was very exciting. But coming back, I would tell you, though, there was some people that was very pissy toward reservists, right? Because how could you go deploy and then you're going to come back to work? And I saw that a little bit myself. Much as people talk about tradition and being a patriot. I mean, I even had a guy that had been in the Navy, and he was pissed at me, right? Oh, what do you mean you got to leave for 2 weeks? Okay, I gotta leave. My boss was like, Mac, you got to transfer out. They made me transfer to a new property because this guy was out to get me. And I was like, you gotta be freaking kidding me.
Yeah, man.
But then when I went to the big corporation, that company, they actually looked out for me, right? Because they knew, especially when I deployed, right? I'll never forget. I'll mention I remember Tom Smith, right? He's the best person I ever worked for. And he was the manager of all properties for this company, stateside and overseas. And he was the nicest person you ever wanted to meet. And he said, always told me, James, whatever you need, we got you. And this is a company that was out of Atlanta that was huge. And I'll never forget that. And so that's why, for me, you had to have people. There's always somebody that's going to be in your corner and to support you. So that's why I do what I do now.
So so speaking on that, James, let's talk about what you do now. Let's get into the barbecue
I was going to say
sauce.
That's a good segue.
Yeah, good segue into let's get into what you're doing now. Let's talk about how you got into it, right? You do barbecue sauce. We want to know how you got into that. Walk us through that process. Like you just wake up one day and was like, fuck it, I'm gonna make barbecue sauce, right? Like,
No.
You're from St. Louis, so I'm assuming barbecue's in your blood. I will say this:
Kansas City.
Dang, bro, he's gonna jump through. Oh no,
Kansas City, St. Louis. They're all number 2 and number 3 to Texas barbecue. So it really doesn't matter. And number 2 and number 3.
Hey, we know who's not getting free bottles.
You ain't tasted mine yet. All right.
No. Like I'm talking about barbecue, not the sauce. Like your sauce.
Okay, there you go.
We'll go with that, right? I'm talking about just barbecue and
chicken. Okay. All right.
So let's go. So tell us about the barbecue life. The barbecue.
Well, it basically comes from this, right? When we deploy, what do? Right? You're on a ship. You're in a fob. You're wherever. You get what they give you, right?
That's right.
And we know how they get it. It's from whoever. They're the lowest bid, and it's horrible. It's crappy, right? So I was like, And I live here in this area, and they have some great places here, great restaurants. But I was missing my barbecue sauce, my taste, right? Because when you grow up, your palate is trained to a taste, right? Texas has theirs, Missouri has theirs, North Carolina has theirs. So I just wanted my sauce.
Yeah.
And so I got to a point, I started working for it a while back when I deployed. And there was one story I'll go back to in '05 where we had just got the crap beat out of us, and our our Marines were leaving, right? They was going to get out of there. And we went in and we got a whole bunch of steaks, brought it back, we cooked it for them, and we had some sauce, and we gave every Marine a steak, right? We cut them in half, and then the youngest kid, we gave a whole steak to, because that's what you do, right? Tradition. And so from there, I thought about that. And I'm just like, you know what? I want to start doing something like that again. I can't do it for everybody. But then I started creating the sauce. And I said, well, if I create the sauce, I used to have people over that didn't have families here. And we all sit, I cook for them and eat, and I give them the sauce. They taste it. They thought it was great. Then I went to a restaurant, dockside, where I used to go when I come back from Afghanistan, because I used to have to go to Afghanistan, come back, I'd wind down, and I would go there to have dinner. So I've known them for a while, and they tasted it, and they says, man, if you were to bottle this, we would sell it. And I'm like, what? I don't know nothing about, because you don't have time for any of this stuff, right?
Right.
You're working, you're deploying, you're doing all this other stuff. So I don't know the FDA, I don't know the Department of Agriculture, I don't know all this policies and rules, but because of the people I have met in this area that has taken me and put me in a bubble and taught me what is right and how to be legal and make it available to people within the law, right? Let's just say within the law. And I thought about it, and I talked to some people, and had a buddy that was in the Navy. He got out. He was in the business. He definitely got me a jump start, and then I went and got it bottled. And here I am. But my whole thing with this is business is a business, right? What I learned with the corporation that I was with, and I was a contractor for them, you have to give back to the community. That's something you should do every day, right? And so with me, I said, I come out the barbecue sauce, and then I had somebody that is like, I'm indebted to him, but I did him a disservice because I did not give him my full plan. So I had to move away and just keep pushing my way, the way I wanted to do it. And so that's why I figured out last year, I says, well, we have sauce. And people who lose somebody in combat, I reflect back on how I lost my wife. Well, she was my ex-wife, but she died of COVID, right? And I had to take her out the machine. Well, guess what? I didn't get to tell her goodbye. We didn't get to tell each other bye because we were mad at each other. We were pissed off at each other, and we separate. No. She died, and as the course of that, we separated. And so a lot of people, when they lose their spouse or they lose a brother or sister, they don't get to tell them goodbye.
Right.
They don't get this, right? They don't get that to say, oh, F you, goodbye, right? Or F you, I don't want to talk to you again. It doesn't happen that way. And so for me, and a spouse told me, she says, all we want people to do is remember who they were. And it stuck with me. And I said, the best thing I could do is when I make the sauce, I come in, we memorialize them on the bottles, we get a story on them, we write the story out and a picture, and then we have bourbon glasses. And that's what we did last year. We're doing it this year. So, but my big thing is we still had to give back. And so last year, the gentleman, he was a Navy SEAL, Aaron Vaughn, his is a nonprofit in Florida, Operation 300, and was able to donate $1,000 last year. This year, because now I know the business and how it works, I have pledge that I will, for every bottle that I sell, there's $1 will go to a nonprofit this year, which is called Frog Dog. I will always do that because the thing is, this isn't about me now. This is about first the sauce, the taste, people wanting something that they like, not just something that's on the shelf. So when we go to the farmer's market, you have to taste it. And then if I can help somebody, that's what I want to do. Now, caveat to that, back when I was in Atlanta, I coached basketball, and one of my kids ended up playing pro football. Go figure, right? Messed up my resume. I was a basketball coach. But we talked one time. we talked, and we talked about TBIs. And there's one of his teammates they played for the Steelers, and they actually went and got fixed with these doctors up in Utah. So I met the doctors. We came back to DC. We went to speak to some senators and congressmen, and finding out that a lot of these organizations, there's good ones out here. I'm not saying they're not, but if you're not part of, for you to go to them, you had to go to their research development hospitals or facilities. Well, mentioning the TMT teams, right? There's guys who got hit in 04. No, I'm sorry, early 05 that are now no longer with us. Why? Because they cannot take the pain, right? A lot of people don't ask guys, why do they commit suicide? A lot of these guys cannot take the pain. I'm not a doctor. I have to talk to doctors to find out, right? And it's because of TBIs. But they're not going to tell anybody. Why? Because then we think that they're less than. And that's another issue. Now I'm starting to ramble, right? Because there's doctors that can fix you, right? Actually fix you. But you have to find out where the damage is for TBIs, right? And there's ways to do that. And that's the doctors. The doctors I work with is called Cognitive FX, and they're on my Facebook, right? And you can learn what it actually is. I can't tell nobody to get fixed. I can't do that. They have to do that themselves. I've talked to, buddies of mine who are expeditionary or whatever their job is, right? Because everybody has their special jobs, what they do. And we all get damaged. Let's just be real about it. But I cannot tell them to fix themselves. And they can't tell people they're going to get fixed. Why? Because then they get, especially when you're active duty, even reserve, you get downgraded. And now you're not going to get promoted. You're not going to get the same job because now they don't feel that you're damaged. And then if I go get fixed, then they're still not going to put me back in the same position. Why? Because I had to go get adjusted or I had to go get fixed. And a lot of times it costs money, a lot of money. And the government's not supporting it. They're not going to support it. Why? Because how do we make money? It's about the research. Right. And then that research, how do you research? More research, then let's generate more dollars into that research, right? Well, who's getting fixed, right? And I've had 5 CBs that committed suicide just from TBIs, and we just don't talk about it enough. I can call you all day long, but are you going to tell me how many headaches you have? You're going to tell me that you're in this much pain? Then when you tell me, what am I going to tell you? I can't just up and give you $20,000 to go get fixed. Because that's how much it's costing now to really get fixed, to look at the damage, then take the probes and get you in front of computers and actually tell the brain, give it exercises to tell the brain to fix itself. That's why if I could do that, if I can get one guy up to Utah to get fixed, then I've done my job. And that's what I'm working toward, right? But I can't, I know it's going to take time for me to do that. But and I'm sorry, that's just where I'm at with all this now, right? I love people. I love junior troops. I love everybody, right? Just like God comes to me at the market, right? If you're E6, I don't care who you are. Sometimes the E6 below can be a senior. Matter of fact, the senior chief just got a $25 gift ticket from me, right? And he thought he won the damn lottery.
Yep.
He wasn't expecting it, right? And now he can go eat at one of the restaurants that support me, right? The restaurants here that support me, they're like family to me, right? because
So
that's how
James,
I was raised. Yeah.
is your stuff only local right now to the Virginia area, or are you branching out to other areas?
So it's local. It is local. I'm at the farmers market, and then I have it online, and that's it.
So you
right?
can order. So people can go and get your product online.
Yes, they can. Yes. Yeah. Very limited right now. So I'm in the bourbon stage right now. We have the bourbon sauce from
Look at Matt's face. Yeah, bourbon, baby.
So I don't know if you heard of the Cavalier. The Cavalier's here, very exclusive hotel. There's a veteran there that was gracious enough to give us donate a barrel to us, and we put the sauce in it, and we let it sit for 4 months, and now we have it ready to release, and pretty good stuff. I don't brag about my stuff, but people are loving it. Then we have Ironclad, which is out of Newport News. And this is their second year working with us. We did let it sit a little bit longer this year to get a little bit more of the wood and the bourbon flavor in the sauce. And it seems to be doing well right now. So we do have a limited supply. The Cavaliers already said that they want to do this again. So I guess got to come up with a plan now. Huh?
I need to get some of those. Don't sell all of them. I need to get some of that. I do have a question though.
We need to hook James up with April 1 barrel. Get him an April 1 barrel.
Yeah. We're gonna get you set up with our dude at April 1. 100%.
Really? Yeah. Okay.
I do have a quick question though. So
Sure.
like everything that you just said, like
Sure.
people need to hear that. And when you say that you're ranting on, like rant away. That's what we want to hear.
Yes.
However, I do want to go back and just ask, right? Like,
Sure.
where did your inkling or your itch or what made you go, I want to do a barbecue sauce? Is that something that your family did? Is it something that is like my
grandfather? Oh yeah, my grandpa. Oh yeah, my grandfather. Absolutely. Yeah, we have where I live in the house we lived in. He had a barbecue pit out back, and I have not seen one like it. It's made out of brick, and we'd have all our holidays. That's all we did was cook. He'd cook, right? And my grandmother made the sides. He cooked all the meat, and he had his barbecue sauce, and that's what I remember.
So when you created your sauce, did you have to like R&D this thing to kind of figure out when it tasted like what his was, or did you have something to start from?
Oh yeah, you start from scratch, right? You look at you look at different recipes. You look and see what's out there, because there's ingredients that you just don't hear about or know about, right? And these are things that sometimes people don't share. And so I got to a point, and I started mixing.
Big Al's 2-ball cure-all. Put a little 2-ball cure-all in that sauce.
But you got to experiment to come up with what you want, right? Then I had people that liked it where it was, and a lot of times, what do? You just put stuff in a bowl, and then you just slap it on meat, right? Well. Once you start bottling, you couldn't do that.
Al slaps a lot of shit on meat. I'm just gonna let you know.
Who's me to be slapping it on? Just saying. But anyway,
did you have like a base recipe from like your granddad used to?
I did. Yes.
Okay.
I did. Yeah, absolutely. The ketchup, the vinegar, all that different stuff. Yep. Yes. And there's my grandparents there. Yeah. That was my grandfather and my grandmother, and she was a beautician. She's the one that went to college, and my grandfather had a 7th grade education, And so but he taught me, taught me to respect women. He taught me to always work, right, and always take care of your family. And I've done some of that, right. Some of the things I look at now and I talk about, I would tell any individual that goes in the military, take care of your family. That's one thing that I did not do good enough, right, because I felt the military is more important at the time. And I got out of it what I wanted. Never thought of being an E1.
What kind of thing exactly do you mean about take care of your family? Because I mean, we could wax poetic about that for a while, but mind, go ahead and mention those for the audience, please.
Well, for me, I chose once I made a mistake, I chose to leave and go back to where I could make rank again, right? I knew it, and it was overseas, and my family didn't want to go with me, and I chose that over them. And there's certain things that come up and challenges and decisions have to be made. And sometimes you got to look at it and says, is it worth it? And back then I didn't ever think, I just did, because I felt that I needed to prove things to my family that I was going to be successful, right? I was going to be good because all my other cousins, my dad's sisters, all her kids went to college, right? I didn't, but they love me. I love them. So I had to prove my self-worth in a different way. So, but it's always good to have family. Always good to talk to family. Always good to try to understand what direction you're going in, because we can always go in a direction, but it's not always the right direction.
Yeah. Well, I can identify with a lot of what you said. Thank you very much for sharing that.
Sure.
It's consisted of, a bunch of deployments after 9/11. So a
Yeah.
lot of those deployments, I was raising my hand. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And having 6 children, I think that, that really caused them a lot of trauma. So even now, my adult children are like, no, I don't want to date anyone that's in the military because that's a red flag. So I've run in the military for my children because of all we've gone, all we did in the jihad era.
Yeah. That's right. But that's all we knew too, right? I'll tell you, once I tapped in it, I wanted it again. And I didn't know how to function without it for a while. And a lot of times you had to figure it out. And sometimes we just don't have the resources out there to do it. Because we all go through our own experiences. I won't sit in a group and talk about my experience because I don't want to hear the next guy's experience because it was different than mine. And it might be more traumatic. And I don't want to do that. I have my doctor I talk to, and that's it.
I think that's why, that's why I love doing this, what we're doing right now, because you may not share the things that you keep deep inside, but we've found for a lot of guys we've brought on that you just giving a story of something that you've been through and what you've done and shown that you've overcome it is a huge win in getting you into a better space, right? Because a lot of times I feel like veterans, we just don't feel like people are listening to us, right? We just feel like we're complaining all the time. And, I'm trying to get this job and I want to do better and nobody will hire me. And you don't understand what it's like and all this stuff, right? And some of it's true. And then in other instances, we can tell people to stop bitching. You're just being a crybaby, which we would probably tell them while they were in.
That's right.
However, there is something to that, right? We've all on here been on interviews, I'm sure, where you're overqualified and you're like, I don't even want your fucking job. I don't even care if I ever do the job that you do.
No.
I just want to do something that's meaningful to me.
That's right.
That I can say that I'm proud that I'm still doing something productive. And that's the piece that a lot of people in the civilian, they don't understand that. They just can't wrap their head around you're not trying to climb the mountain. I've already climbed that motherfucker. I don't need to climb it anymore.
No.
I'm good.
That's right.
I don't need to get to the top anymore. I'll help you get to the top and I can show you how to get there.
That's right.
But there's such a fear in guys like us and military guys coming in. They're just so scared that I'm done after 3 weeks of this guy being here. Everyone's going to love them, or the questions that we asked you in the interview and the answers you give. I've just seen it so many times. And I just wish we could do a better job at explaining to, civilian companies, listen, if the person's telling you, I don't want to be number one, they don't. They just want to come in and make you number one. We're really good at doing that.
That's the big thing, right? It is making that job or that company number one. Because when we have our job and what we do, we're not doing it for us. We're doing it because we're good at it and we can make everybody else better.
Yeah.
And because you're taught that. You're taught to bring that junior troop along to make him successful, right? And so, and that's true. I mean, there's a guy I know right now. He was in the Army, and he struggles. I try to see him at least once a week to make sure he's okay, right? And he's in an area, but he doesn't explain too much. I think he's in, 101st, but he's seen a lot, right? He's seen a lot.
Is his name by the chance? Is his name Bob Mayer? Because I mean, I'm just curious because sometimes you're just asking. I'm just curious,
right?
But when you talk to somebody that stepped on the same soil that you stepped in, you just want to have that discussion, even if it's only once, to say, "I got you," right? And there's not enough of us out here that can do that, that does that, right? Because we're also taught once we leave, right? Well, it's not that, it's not always like that. You just can't leave and just let it go because it's always going to be with you.
Right. So that's the piece that's the missing ingredient though, right? Yeah. We leave and we can't really leave it, right? We leave and then all of a sudden it's shut off, right? You're not a senior chief anymore. You're not you're not in charge of sailors or soldiers, and you're not making a difference in people's lives. And when they walk in the door, they're not looking to you for the answers, right? That's a huge thing to kind of walk away from.
Yeah.
But it's the biggest gap that a lot of companies are missing because there's so many people that are so close to going over the top and they could make such a difference.
Yeah.
They just need that one piece. And a lot of times that one piece is the veteran that's like, what do you want? Because to your point that you just made, we're never doing it for us. Like you are taught in the military, if you want to promote and you know, in the Navy, if you want to be me, you, Al, we're in the 3% club. 3% of the people that ever join the military make senior chief.
Yeah.
If you want to be in that club, it's not about you anymore. No. You don't fucking matter. If you want to be there, you got to show that you take care of people. And that's a very foreign concept to a lot of people that have never been in that piece, right? You talked about it earlier. Your boss that you worked in a company was like, what do you mean you got to go protect America for 2 weeks? You're like, are you fucking kidding me, dude? For real?
Yeah. But you go through it, right? And you understand, you guys get it. You guys understand it, right?
Yeah.
And sometimes we have to shut down because sometimes we want to say something, but they don't understand it. They're not going to understand. And it's okay. At the end of the day, it's okay.
Yeah, but it's so weird because we can't say what we feel in a situation, right? We're just going to walk down the street real quick.
Yeah.
Something happens in a civilian job and you see it happen. And I know how I would have handled it as a senior chief in the Navy. And I can't say what I would have said as a senior chief to be able to handle that situation and put it in check, right?
Right.
But the same people that I just watched that I know would have a problem with how I handle it can walk in the door and say the most outlandish shit to people and nobody says anything to them.
Yeah.
That's right. Like, holy crap, where did we go with professionalism in the workplace or the country? All those things. If it's okay for one, it's okay for another. But I just wish that we could do a better job at like portraying our veterans that like they're just looking for a place to fit in. Like they want to be a part of something. And if they believe in what you're doing, they're there. Right. They're not going to leave. They're going to be committed to you. They're going to work hard for you. All you have to do is show them that you value what they bring to the table, which is what all of these other people are saying outside of the military. I just wish we could figure out how to close that gap. You know what I mean? It's so hard to do, which it shouldn't be, but it is. So, well,
because at the end of the day, it's about the dollar, right? Production.
We would make so much more money for them than all these other people they hire. You just let us loose. I need this by the end of the week. Done. Yeah. I'll be back. Just don't ask me how I'm doing it.
That's right.
Don't ask me how I gotta who I gotta negotiate with or who I've gotta, walk across and be like, you guys have got pallets for your floors. What do you need? You need this. And then we start bartering, right? We'll make it happen.
That's right.
And we're good at doing it the right way. Like there's always a fear, right? Of like, oh my God, you can't say that. Why?
Yeah, we complete the mission. It's done.
Yeah. It's a crazy thing, but
Yeah.
What are you gonna do? That's the soapbox era of that. You know what I mean?
Hey, eat good barbecue. That's what you do, right?
Eat good barbecue. I love it.
Food, right?
Hey, I will tell you real quick. I know that as Al said earlier, he's got stuff going on. He's got things he's gonna help out with. We still have a little bit to do here, but Al, I wanted to give you an opportunity, man. You got any questions for for James? Anything you want to talk to him about before you jump out? Because I know that you have things that you got to run into.
No, I'm good. I just want to thank you for coming on, James. Man, I think it's awesome, brother.
Brother,
Hey,
appreciate you guys.
We could talk all night long.
Yes,
yeah, we could.
About Iraq and everything we've all done. So you get me and Ty and Matt rolling, and you. So we'll be here all night. But no, thank you for coming on, brother. Much respect. Love you.
Appreciate you.
Can't wait to try some of your sauce for sure.
So. Absolutely. Prayers for your father-in-law. Tell him get up. Tell him keep going. Ain't time to stop now.
Man, fuck that dude. I'll let him know. Love y'all.
All right, bro. Yep.
All right, brother. All right. So James, I need you to do me a favor real quick. For this hot seat, we need it to be epic and proportional. Okay. So I know we had to switch to your phone. I need you to do me a favor and turn your phone sideways.
Sideways.
Yeah. Boom. Full screen. That's what I'm talking about.
He's got it
now.
Lock on.
Oh, you got lock on your phone?
What?
You can turn it back the other way. You probably have like the turn lock on it or whatever. Normally when you turn it, it goes big. So here's what we're going to do. Because we have a good connection now, Ty, you see, he's ready. He's all in. He's going to put you in what we call the hot seat, right? You do barbecue sauce. Some make it hot, some don't. It is what it is. But he's going to take you through some stuff. We're gonna 10 questions.
Bring it. Okay. All right.
What's up? I really appreciate all you're sharing so far. I know at the beginning we had some internet connectivity issues, but this has really been a fun interview. I identify with a lot of the things you're saying, and I've got some notes here. I want to ask you about a lot of the things that you follow, like military space age travel. It seems like there's a lot of adventure in your life. So we'll get to that though in a second. So what we do in the hot seat is I normally ask 10 questions. They're just basic questions. Just wax poetic with me and tell me the answer that comes to your head first.
All right.
What's more important, loyalty or respect?
Respect.
Okay, and why?
Because with the respect, you're gonna be loyal. Because it's your feelings toward that person. It's how you feel and how you're gonna treat that person with respect. And with that comes loyalty.
I like it. Very nice. All right, you got a 1 hour conversation with anybody from history. Who are you going to have the conversation with, and what's the conversation going to be about?
It's going to be with my mom. How she was able to come in and make a decision to give me a better life. And how did she come to that decision?
Yeah, I love how you explained that at the beginning. I have a big family in Kentucky, and there was a lot of different people that had a hand in it. I wasn't exactly raised, but I was raised by a single mother for a lot of my youth.
Yeah.
So that's a great answer.
Yeah.
What is the most unique place on earth you've ever visited?
The most unique place? Japan.
Japan. Okay. Yeah. Nice. What is your favorite song or artist of all time?
Earth, Wind, and Fire. Sorry, it's a group, but yeah.
Oh,
yeah. Serpentine Fire.
Oh, there you go. All right, you an early bird or a night owl?
Early bird.
All right, what is some advice for our listeners to follow your passion in life?
I would say love your family, stay in tune with your family, and do what you want to do. Understand who you are and do what you want to do, right? As long as it's going to help you survive in life. You got to survive. You got to do something to survive. You just can't give up.
Never give up. I love it. All right. What daily habit affects your day in the most positive way?
Walking my pup.
First thing in the morning?
First thing in the morning, yeah, but also the scripture that's sent to me every morning. So that's really something that I've started to really take heed in and reading the scripture.
Excellent. All right. Who's the greatest basketball player of all time? Michael Jordan or LeBron James? Or if there's someone else, go ahead and answer that.
Michael Jordan.
And why?
Because he brought the game to another level. When he came into the game, he was doing things other basketball players had never done before. And he kept the game alive, and he helped the business of basketball.
Absolutely. I totally agree. He changed the game more than I think anybody in history, outside of just basketball too.
Yeah.
All right. Let's see. I was going to ask what drives you in life, but I think helping people and connecting with people is probably what drives you, being there for your family. But I'm going to ask you the second part of this question. What keeps you up at night?
Am I doing, or have I helped the right people? Have I helped the right person? At the same time, is there somebody else I should be helping?
Excellent. All right, last question. What can we do to get better as a podcast and tell better stories for our veterans?
I believe you guys are on track, right? It's on track, and because we're all human, we all have our own ideas, we have our own opinions. But keep this going, keep this format going, right? Because it's about conversations. It's not anybody being right or wrong. It's about how we believe and what we believe in, and how we feel we need to live our lives. Each person, because none of us going to live the same life. We're just not going to do that, right? Because we were born with different parents. And that's what I say about marriage, right? Everybody's born with different parents. You come together to agree, you're going to accept that person for who they are. So with this, you guys accept each other for who you guys are, and y'all love each other, and y'all doing this, and this is awesome.
Great answer, brother. All right, let's bring Matt back in. You graduated from
Congratulations.
You made it.
So not to keep like a hot seat going, but I did just, for me, I know that you do your barbecue sauce, you give back to people and you give back to organizations. And so the reason we found you is a couple of the guys I was in battalion with had shared the Facebook page about Joe Baldwin and you doing a barbecue sauce for him. So one, did you know Joe?
I did not. I knew his brother Rue, and Rue was very instrumental when I made chief. When I needed, this is real quick. When I needed support from active duty, the chief's mess, I chose to stay with them for about 3-4 months because I was a new reserve chief, and I wanted to know what the real mess was about. Right? Not saying that the reserve mess is any different, but I wanted to be with active duty guys. And when I needed support from them, they was there for me. And Rue was one of those guys. Him, Dean Fisher, Jay Johnson, Rob Morrison, all those guys that I actually grew up being a chief.
Jay motherfucking Johnson. That's the one that I heard. Big Daddy boy. That
Big
dude
Daddy.
was amazing. Yeah. So can you tell us a little bit about the sauce this year, what it's going towards? I know that it's going towards your thing, but can you give everybody a little bit of a description about when you do this sauce and you start to do that and you're going to select someone to do it? Like, what's your process? How do you do it? Because, like last week we shouted it out, and I'm grateful that you came on this week, because when I met, I knew Joe, but me and Joe weren't like friends, but he was a very impactful figure in NMCB 74.
Yeah.
He was on the safety crew. He was always on the job sites. He'd always come out. He'd always ask your questions. When I knew him, he was a first class. So he was like a leader's leader, man. Like he wanted to help everybody. And I remember I was in recruiting duty and I saw like an article or saw that what had happened to him. And it was just like, holy man, I think it's the first person that I really knew that, had succumbed that way. So can you walk everybody through your process? How do you do this and how do you go about it? Because I would like everybody that listens to us to know how your process is.
Yeah.
So just in case there's somebody else out there that you can help, or somebody may have an idea.
So the biggest thing here is that people don't understand what happens when somebody gets killed in action and everything that goes with that. So, but for me, this is my way of giving back to letting the spouses, letting the kids know that we love them and we appreciate the families. And I will tell you, I went to people that were close to me, right? Aaron Bond's wife, I worked for her. And so I asked her first, right? Would you mind? And she said yes, because I want to go to people that I knew, because I didn't want no backlash, right? I want to make sure that I'm doing this the right way, because there's some people that may look at it differently. And I won't say they're not out there, but it's for us to raise money and give it to a nonprofit. Sure, the money, I have money for the business, but that business is put right back out there for production and then donate money to the nonprofit. I'm a small business and I worked and I have not taken out a loan. So the next one was Rue, right? I thought of Rue, right? Rue's my man. He was automatically on board and said yes. I don't feel it's right for me to go to spouses. I'd rather people to nominate individuals that they feel they might want to be on there. But then with that, we would have to get permission from the families for that to happen. So I went to the people that I felt I could entrust, and they entrust me to put their loved one on the bottle. And that's how I came up with that. So in the future, I'm probably going to put together a committee, because we start getting nominations. I want to be able to start picking as we get them in, rotating. Because here's the thing now, with the bourbon sauce, there's a process. That bourbon sauce, the sauce has to stay in the barrels for at least 3 months. Has to. Yeah. So then, and you only get so many gallons out of it. So it's always a limited edition. Unless I start getting barrels in, right? Getting barrels in, then I can start overlapping them. And as the bourbon sauce come out, there's another barrel there. So when we come out of this barrel, we have another production completed. So it is a process. But right now, I went with the people that I felt would entrust in me in getting their loved ones on the bottles and getting their story out. Because at the end of the day, they just want people to remember them. That's all they want.
You got to always say their names.
Yeah.
That's right. Always. Always. Yeah.
Ties right there on the wavelength, man. We've got a former partner in the show that would say it all the time, and we say it after is gone, because what he said was completely 100% true. The people that you don't remember, the people that don't repeat their name.
That's
So
right.
you don't repeat their name, people don't know what they did.
No.
We don't want them to die with what they did there. We want them to live on forever, because we wouldn't be having this conversation without this guy right here.
That's right. That's right.
You mind if I read part of this there?
No, please. No, please do.
Please.
All right. Daddy James Barbecue Sauce announcing this year's tribute honoring our fallen brothers and sisters. The return of Ironclad Bourbon and new this year, Tarnished Truth Bourbon Barbecue Sauce will honor BUC SCW Joel Baldwin. Bottling will be complete by 3 July 2025. Joel Baldwin, U.S. Navy. Joel was born 16 October 1967 in Coco Solo Canal Zone, Republic of Panama, to Spike and Wendy Baldwin. In 1987, he graduated from Balboa High School and joined the United States Navy Seabees in 1988. His first command was in Panama on the Atlantic side. During Just Cause operation, he was asked to assist with another service member's family getting to the hospital for a difficult birth. The convoy was stopped and harassed by some angry locals. So as a Spanish speaker and native to Panama, he jumped on the hood of the emergency vehicle and shouted over the crowd that there was a pregnant lady in the back that needed to get some help as soon as possible. Not only did he sound just like a local, but the crowd could also see his passion and hear it as well. The crowd parted like the story in the good book. Joel is a loving, loyal, honorable, valiant, giving, hardworking man who positively impacted every person he met. He loved being an instructor, and he was the chief. You wanted him in your corner, whether it was for a good reason or not. All who knew him would agree that their lives were permanently enriched by him. He was the greatest of fathers, friends, and forever a hero. Did you write that, James?
No, his brother did. Rue Baldwin wrote that.
Yeah, that was beautiful.
Absolutely. He asked me to read it because we usually do, we look at it and try to prove. I was like, just like last year, we didn't touch it, right? All true words came from his brother, from his heart, and published it as is.
Absolutely, man.
I love
well,
that.
I would tell you that I appreciate that you came on and told your story. I know that we had a little bit of hiccup in the beginning, but we figured it out because that's what fucking CBs do. And commo guys, we're gonna add that in. And commo guys.
That's right.
Yeah. But I appreciate everything you're doing for veterans. I think that we need more people out there to reach out and do those things for veterans, to show what it is that we've done to make sure that we can have these conversations and do the things that we're doing. And whatever it is that you choose to do, there's a reason you can do that in this country. I think people need to understand that. You're part of the family now. So
thank you. Appreciate it.
You want to come on and talk some shit? All you got to do is text us and you can come on and talk some shit. We're good.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Whenever you want to do it. Like once you've been a guest here, you're a guest forever. And if you wanted to come in, please come through.
Got you.
We appreciate you. I do want to talk with you after about the barbecue sauce. So if once me and Ty close it out, just hang tight if you can. I know you're East Coast time.
Yep, that's fine.
I'll probably past your bedtime. Whatever. We can get through it. I'll sleep now. Don't worry about it. Yeah. But we will. I do want to talk to you about a couple of things because there's things I think you can do in our area where we could actually help a little bit as well. And I just want to say thank you. I appreciate your story. I appreciate your service. Thank you for everything that you did. Sorry that you made a mistake and joined the Army for a little bit, but you figured it out at the end. You know what I mean? But thank you. I appreciate it. Navy Chief, Navy Pride.
There you are. Thank you guys so much. I really appreciate you guys. And just take care of your families. Always be in my prayers, but you guys are definitely doing the thing, right? The right thing. And I appreciate that. So thank you so much for having me on. And I'm pushing some sauce to you guys. So y'all know what's up.
Yeah. So hang tight, and we'll see you here in a couple minutes. So when it ends, don't jump out. Hang tight.
Okay. Remember, wetter's better. Just saying.
Wetter is better.
That's right.
Dude, you should have said that with Al on here. It would have been great.
Got it.
All right. Around, James. We're going to end the show. All right. So future guests, we got next week. We got William Branham. We're going
to get naked on the show, everybody. We're going to get naked.
That's right. And then, as always, tell us your stories. Like, subscribe, follow all of our social media. Thanks for watching on TikTok. Thanks for watching on YouTube. Thanks for watching on Facebook. We appreciate y'all. Keep the comments coming. We'll talk to you soon.
And also, real quick, before we jump out of here, everybody remember, we reached out to James because we saw what he's doing and we believe in it. All you got to do is reach out to us. If you have a story to tell and you want to be a part of that journey to tell your story and let people know what you're doing, all you have to do is reach out. If you know somebody that has a story to tell them to reach out. We want to help everybody. And then one last shameless plug. We're selling t-shirts. Jesus Christ. Can you guys go buy a t-shirt? We want to give some money to a nonprofit. SameFlagSameOath.com. Go buy our t-shirts that are in the contest. Maybe we'll give you an update next week, but that would mean some of you got to buy some. I know y'all got money. Y'all got disability checks. So go handle that. And we love you guys. We'll see you next week.
Yeah, I really appreciate all the group from Fort Campbell watching. I know they had a 101st MP Company reunion. I couldn't make it, but I did see the pictures that CIA Bob sent me. Love you guys, and that was some of the best time in my military career. Y'all have a great time. Black and Gold, Air Assault.
If you or someone you know is in crisis, contact the Veterans Crisis Line at 1-800-273-8255. Then press 1.